Well, after taking part in every single game last year and having heartbreak in every cup final that mattered, we are back for season 16 at Southend United. And as always, we've added one or two more stars. Thankfully, we've been able to do it at a relatively low price as well. But there are some ongoing transfer sagas potentially on the way out. And this year, we start against the side that we lost to in one of last year's cup finals. We face Newcastle United and our old foe Arne slot, and season 16 has got to be the year that we go one better in the final two competitions we haven't won. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 134 and season 16 of Saving Southend with me, Daniel. We are back today to start the 16th season with, well, a pretty tough game in a Community Shield against Newcastle. We faced them despite them not finishing second in the end because they beat us in the FA Cup final when we lost the FA Cup, the League Cup and the Champions League final all in the same season. We then face Aston Villa in the Premier League. We've got a little bit of transfer news as well. There's a couple of sagas that may well derail us, as is always the case during the window. If you're looking forward to seeing whether those two new signings can help us over the line in any of the three cup finals, then do stick with us for the season, as we are going to start with transfer news and a little bit of staffing and player updates from on and off the pitch. So a quick one to start off on the staffing front. Gianluca Conte retired at the end of last season, which left us one coach short, and he was one of the best at the club. So just to show, because I don't get to mention these much in the later years, but they are so important to what we do. And I always say it, having a top quality staffing team is more important than anything else. So we went straight to Everton for a man who was nearly out of contract, Jamel Watsak, and he is very good. Technically brilliant, great going forward where we were a little weaker. And you can see the mental attributes fantastic. So a really good addition for us. But on the playing side, it's been a little bit busier, certainly in terms of the outs, but also with a couple of ins. We've signed two players for the here and now, four for the future, including two superstars who should make it at our level. And we've also taken advantage of a relegation for Leeds United, as you can see from the first of them. We're going to start with the ins this time, because a couple of them have since gone out on loan. But the first signing was probably my second choice striker signing for the summer. The first choice one was 80 million quid, wanted 200 grand a week, was playing in France. And then we saw that the other option, who maybe suits us better because of the target forward role and the fact that he's got the attributes to do that really well. And he had a relegation release clause of 21.5 million from Leeds United. That man is Liban Elmi. Yes, he's 27, he's English. He's not my type of signing, really. He's someone who's coming towards the end who we're only going to get a few years out of. You can see technically exactly what he offers. You can see mentally he's fantastic. Then you add the fact that he's 6 foot, he's good in the air, and he can cover that target forward role all right, as well as being relatively quick. And he just looks to me like someone who can go with Joe Wills in that role and do a really good job for us. Add to that, because of his relegation, he's only taken 75 grand a week. He's not playing for England at the moment. And even though they did go down last year, he scored 18 Premier League goals, was one of the top 10 scorers in the division. I just think for that role, where we've perhaps not got the cover, especially after Kranjic left, you got Carr who can't really play in that target forward role. I just thought, yeah, this is a signing that makes sense, because even if it doesn't work, we'll probably make our money back and we've not lost a huge amount. So happy with him. Liban Elmi comes in. Crucially, he's a fairly consistent performer. His strength is in the air. He's a leading player for Premier League sides. The only issue is that he's a little bit injury prone, but so is Ivanov, so is Nana Fair, so is Joe Wills. All we're doing is making sure we've got an extra one up there. We've got 5 quality strikers this year instead of 4, and Casey Worcester has finally left the club to make way for him. The other 2 players that were pre-agreed to come in at the start of the English window were 2 youngsters who got released from Premier League clubs. You know now, in the early years, we did it with players that became senior stars, so Jack Morehouse and whoever else. Later on, it's become a way to make money, John Nusson being an example. And John Ashton is going to be the latest one from Liverpool. He's not a great player, but he's got a fairly professional personality, and apparently he's got a little bit of potentials, though the coach doesn't really agree with the scouts. But overall, he's okay, and we might make a couple of million. The other one I think is probably the better of the two. Mitchell Vandenberg has since gone out on loan, but an 18-year-old Dutch defender has actually gone to Sligo Rovers. I actually think attribute-wise he's pretty good and could become a very strong, at least championship level player. So hopefully he'll get some football. He's played 4 games for Chelsea before his release, and I certainly think we'll make maybe 10 million quid or so out of him. The last one to come in for the future at the end of last season was a signing that popped up through our scout reports and I couldn't turn down. Unai Goni has come in from Atletico Bilbao, 16 million quid, Spanish under 21 international, 6'2", naturally left-footed defender. He's a really good tackler. He's not the best in the air and his composure's not perfect, but overall, he's good in all areas and he's got so much potential to improve. He's gone to Millwall where he's going to play a full season in the Championship, and I just feel that was the best thing to toughen him up rather than sitting in our reserves or on our bench. So he's going to get a season. We'll reevaluate when he's back, but he looks a really good one. He's got enough determination to improve as well, and he can cover left back if we really need it. I think Goni, for the future, might become a superstar just before we finish this save. If we move on to this season, there are 2 more additions as well. One first teamer you knew about but may well have forgotten about, and it's probably going to be a new first choice goalkeeper. Fabrizio Bertini came on a free from Napoli. He joined us after we missed out on the other centre-half who's gone to Arsenal. But he's just really good all round. 15 for jumping, reach and agility. Rock solid across the technical attributes. Brilliant mentally. A slight upgrade on Sadler, who is now in his 30s and has had injuries all summer. Logan McNaughton has suddenly just hit his peak. He's not got the potential that was initially thought. And I think Bertini will end up being a number 1. So really pleased to have him here. He's done well for Napoli and Roma over many a year. And he's even had a year in Hull where he played a few games on loan. So he has experienced English football at some point before. So a positive one there. Even if he doesn't end up being brilliant, we'll make big money for him next year. And the other one that we've signed, well, just today actually, but has gone back on loan to Copenhagen for the year, much like we did in January with that guy from Bodo Glint, is Maltha Bundgaard, who is an 18-year-old striker. He's a very good finisher. He's a wonder kid. He's 6 foot, albeit he's not the best in the air. And he's a natural left footer, which is a nice one as well. But technically, finishing attribute, his determination as well. That combination, when the scouts brought him to us and said, you know what, he's got a release clause of 10.5 million, I thought, yeah, that's probably a deal worth doing, because even if they do really well, Helmi's only going to have 2 or 3 years here. Ivanov's got a couple of years left max. I think Wills is approaching the second half of his 20s now. So Bungard just sort of future-proofs us, and he's a player with world-class potential. If we look at the outs, there's not a huge amount of money going in or out, really, since the Dion Kranic deal, but we kind of mentioned it, didn't we? Our big window was January. We had Marciano, we had Fair come in, we signed a big player for the future. We lost Dion Kranic, of course, we lost Hector Sanchez. But during the summer, we also had a few more departures. I mentioned Casey Worcester just left the club, but there are a few players that you might be surprised to have seen move out on loan, chief among which is probably Elihu Vite, who was, well, a backup centre-half for us last year, played a fair number of games, 16 league appearances, many more in other competitions. He's a wonder kid, and this is a bit of a gamble. I've sent him to Liverpool, who won the League Cup, who got relatively close in the Premier League, and who got relatively close in the Champions League. But I just thought if he gets a year there, he's not going to be our first choice. We've got Herbert, Rakowski and Hansen all ahead of him. He's not going to be first choice, so why not send him out to play regularly at Liverpool for a year and let him get top-class football experience? It says there might be a star of potential in there somewhere. So if he can improve by one attribute everywhere, he becomes a top-class defender. If not, maybe Liverpool want to sign him for 50, 60 million next year and we make a big profit. Among the others that have gone out, we've got Ricky Kiger, who has gone permanently. Again, our youth academy now starting to pay for itself. Plenty of others out on loan. Dominic Vucic is really starting to improve, but whether or not he reaches top Premier League level, I'm not quite sure. Devon Francis left permanently as well, but that was for a pretty nominal fee. And I don't think there are any other big ones. The one that we've got to keep an eye on this year is Fabio Fazoli, who's gone to Preston. He's another one who might have big enough potential and is starting to show signs of promise. Did play for us a couple of times in Europe towards the end of, well, a season before last, I think it might have been. But yeah, a really good player, improving through the divisions. I mean, you look at his attributes. He scored 11 in League Two, followed it up with 17 in League One. He can now go and get double figures in the Championship. To sign, he's going to have a very good career either way. So, an interesting transfer window. It's never at this stage going to be a full-scale revolution, is it? We're only going to have 2 or 3 big additions, maybe 1 or 2 big departures. And the one that I'm hoping will be this summer is Peter Bernberg, because he has completely thrown his toys out the pram now. He wants to go. He's asking to leave. He wanted a contract on 300 grand a week. He's not our best performer, and I'm not willing to give it to him. He played well at the World Cup. He's a decent footballer, but he's flattering to deceive. So, with him in that sort of frame of mind, I've taken off the asking price we'd agreed before, and I'll let Aston Villa and Newcastle offer his value. If we can get anywhere over 100 million for him, I think it's a wonderful deal. I mean, how much do we pay for him? 3.9. I'm sure there's a few add-ons and maybe a slight sell-on in there, but that's a tiny fee. It could be a big, big profit. In addition to that, we've also got to make our mind up with the goalkeepers. Ideally, I would like Jude Sadler to be the one that moves on. He's in his 30s, he's getting interest, and while he's been an unbelievable goalkeeper for us, and in my opinion, take aside the scout reports and the coaches' reports, I think he's still the best. But I'd be happy to let him go. Logan McNaughton is the one who's had the most interest, though, so if we get a massive offer for him, maybe we can't refuse it. But in my opinion, Bettini and McNaughton stay and Sadler moves on for the future. The other person who's maybe a surprise addition to the squad is Kieran Peacock, who returns after, I think, 2 or 3 years away now on loan. Barcelona, Bayern and Sheffield United. He's really worked to CV up there, hasn't he? He did well for Sheffield United last year as they finished in the top 7. He's come back and look, he's going to be a 4th choice. He's out of contract at the end of the year. But I'd rather have him here as a model citizen sitting on the bench than hold back the development of Vite, who wanted to go out on loan, and Goni, the new signing as well. So he's a little bit unhappy at the moment. He wants to go on loan. Southampton made an offer we rejected. I'd rather have him as 4th choice. I'd rather have him involved. And hopefully he can have a great season. We can give him a new deal and then sell him for 30, 40 million next year. Make our money back. That's the hope. We've still kept a few of the squad players around, particularly those who are homegrown at the club. So Joaquin Jimenez will stay as the 5th choice centre midfielder for that. Might even be 4th again if Bernberg moves on. We've also kept Kivrakidis and Rakowski. Might have to make a decision on Kivrakidis next summer if he doesn't agree a new deal or end his unhappiness. But if Bernberg goes, it will then become 1st choice in his preferred role. And Luis Vasquez is now trained at the club as well. So in terms of the European squad, it's all looking pretty good. And it's the other reason I don't really want to lose McNaughton, because he becomes homegrown at the club next year too. So really good situation. We've added a couple of bits of quality, and that was my main aim this summer is, can we make it 5 brilliant strikers instead of 4? Can we make it 9 brilliant midfielders instead of 8? Can we just add that little bit of depth everywhere in the squad? We've got a few youngsters in the youth teams who, at a push, can contribute if we need to. We've got people who are capable of sitting on the bench. We've got the youngster from Bodo Glimt coming back in January when we get to the business end. He might even come back earlier. If Bernberg goes, I might start a mission to retrain him, but he's doing really well out in Norway. So lots of positives here, but still a few question marks. As we go through to the fixtures today, we face Newcastle in the Community Shield final. Arne Slot has revolutionised them, got them back in the top 4, and he's got a good old team there. 2 of the defence we tried signing in the past in Simpson and Aaron Moore. They've got Helguera on the left, who always causes us chaos. And we're having to make a few changes today because, unfortunately, due to people coming back from tournaments, due to a lot of injuries in pre-season, we've not been able to get everyone fit as we'd like. So as a result of that, both of our future target men are going to be playing up front together. We've also rotated a lot for the lighter match loads, and there's only going to be one heavy one in a team state, which is Peacock. And that's because we'd been saving Hansen for this game, and then he got injured during the week, which you can't do anything about. So the team for today's fixture is McNaughton in goal. Bettini's on the bench. I might bring him on for a debut later on. Aguiman and Carlos the fullbacks, with Peacock alongside Herbert as centre-half. Yocolano and Vasquez the wingers. Torres, Marciano the midfield two. And up front is Wills and Elmi. I mean, it's not far off a backup 11, is it? You can see we've managed the pre-season match load pretty well. Most people are approaching fitness, but your usual suspects, your Yokolanos, your Wills have had knocks. Memic always picking up injuries, and Ivanov has come back late in pre-season as well. Jude Sadler not featuring today, not just because he's probably going to go, but also because he's been injured for the whole of pre-season, so don't want to push him in too soon. Fair and Cart have played pretty much every game because Elmi, Wills and Ivanov are all unavailable, so as a result, they both sit out the squad today, as does the sulking Peter Bernberg. Let's go and get into the Community Shield final at Wembley. We've won this one 3 years in a row, I think. I'd quite happily take a defeat in it this year, if it means we win some of the other finals. Well, here we go today as Newcastle approach the first team with 7 changes. They have gone for a backup keeper, but most of the other ones are the stars. They've got some quality players in the squads. The team is completely changed now. We're 16 years in, but Arne Slot has been the main factor in that. He's got them back up at the top end. Will he do the same again this year? They won an FA Cup and reached the top 4. I'm pretty sure they'll take that again. But let's go and say this is a chance to get revenge on Newcastle. A chance to get you boys motivated in the tunnel. First game of the season, a debut for Elmi. I don't normally throw these guys in, do I? But given the fitness situation today, he's straight in on the competitive front as McNaughton makes a really good save from an early free kick. In the first minute, we're already in trouble as Helguera's on corner duty. Will it be taken short? It is. We've thrown 2 out there, but they've gone 3 to outnumber us. Vasquez almost nicks it, but they keep possession with Zanelli. On the right-hand side, back to Helguera. Chance to shoot, goes across the box. Elmi nicks it well. Marciano can now break. He's got 3 Newcastle bodies ahead of him. He's also got support coming from us. Down the line he looks. Oh, it's too late. Elmi's offside. It's such a shame because it was a brilliant run. And it was a brilliant escape from Marciano. But it wasn't quite quick enough with the thinking and the pass. 10 minutes gone, we're going to look a threat on the break. But Newcastle very quickly becoming one of the best sides in England again. Well, 20 minutes on the clock. It's quieting down a little bit now. We always get entertainment against Newcastle, so surely it's not going to be one of our traditional cup finals. As Galaza finds Darby, we're struggling defensively. What was Jean Carlos doing? A Simpson gets in. Good save, McNaughton. Why has Jean Carlos gone into centre midfield there? We have no tactical instruction to suggest he should have been doing anything other than marking the winger and fullback. As Helguera plays the short corner. We've been done by it again, but Aguiman is out to win the header. I guess we're dealing with it as well as possible in a circumstance. I don't want to throw an extra man out there because if you put 3 out, you're going to end up getting done by a corner into the middle. So we're playing carefully. We're playing a game of chess there. With half an hour gone, though. A couple of chances for each, but really, there's been no goal malfaction. No, Vasquez looks to change that with a corner. The big skipper's up, Lewis Herbert. It's a brilliant save by the keeper. Back to the edge to Ivo Torres. Redemption for him. At Wembley last year, he had the most horrific moment. He cost us the chance at a first Carabao Cup with that abysmal back pass against Liverpool. Here he opens the scoring with a screamer at Wembley. The final bit of the redemption for him. And the final bit of you can't just have all good news, can you? Because at half time and on the stroke of it, Elmi has picked up an injury on debut. They did warn me he was a little bit injury prone. He'll be coming off here. Teddy Ivanov will get 45 as well. And he'll come on as the advanced forward. Last year's top scorer, don't forget. But let's hope we've got Elmi off quick enough to not make that injury too bad. It was a really decent first half defensively. And against a side we normally concede 2 or 3 against. Would be nice if we could keep a clean sheet. But with Kieran Peacock back there, that is a bit of a tough ask. An hour on the clock now. Newcastle not offering an awful lot. We know the changes are going to come soon. And that's where things will normally start to go wrong. We'll wait till the final 20 here. But I do want to get Memic a few minutes, start building his fitness up. He'll come on for Edward Aguiman. I'm going to take Julian Ucolano off for Robertson. Going to do the same on the other side with Vasquez and Adamson. And then the only other one really with a light match load is Joaquin Jimenez. I don't think this is the day to bring him on. So I think what we're going to do, we get 6 subs, don't we though? There's no one in midfield playing poorly. I'd ideally like to take Peacock off for Rakowski late on just to try and see out the game. And it would be nice to get Bertini a debut, but at 1-0, it seems strange to bring on a brand new goalkeeper. We'll maybe wait till the final 10 for this. What can we do with the team? Look, Peacock's not playing that well. So let's bring on Rakowski there. And do I take off Carlos as well? Maybe defensively go for De Angelis. Let's just play sensible. I want to get a trophy on the board. I know I said earlier I'd take losing it to win the others, but once you're 1-0 up in a cup final, you don't want to throw it away, do you? as Robertson has got the ball on the right. Finds Marciano. And at least it fills the cabinet. If we keep losing all the big finals, we can say, well, we won 4 Community Shields. I'll turn it into a big one like Jose did. As Robertson gets down the right. Can we catch them out on a counter? In towards Teddy Ivanov. Cleared away as far as Memic. Back to Torres again. Oh, he's gone for another one. Just over the bar there. It's been a really good performance, actually. One of our most dominant against Newcastle. But it's only 1-0. And with a few minutes to go, that might not be enough, though. Joe Wills has nicked the ball in the midfield area. Adamson's running ahead of him. Play it early. He stays onside. Does well. Ivanov's in the middle. Looks for the ball. It goes to Robertson at the back stick. Into Marciano. Oh, that's a big, big miss. 6 yards out in completely unmarked territory. He's managed to miss it. That is a big, big effort. But overall, I would argue that's maybe our most encouraging start for a long time. A really comfortable performance. A really good victory. And the only thing we didn't have was enough goals. But with Fair and Carr left out of the squad and Elmi injured, I mean, I can understand why that's maybe the case. A 1-0 victory. The Community Shield won at Wembley again. We're getting used to seeing this image. But this year, when we do the same in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup, can we at least lift one of them as well? Well, we did manage to get him off quick enough. Elmi's injury, just 3 to 5 days, so should be fit enough for the bench next week. Although, we've got 5 strikers now, so it doesn't matter too much. Soren Hansen out for 3 weeks, which is a little bit of a pain, but I'd rather it be the only month where we only play once a week. Elmi made his debut, which was nice for us. Bertini will do the same next week. And loads of medals handed out there, including Bertini, who didn't get on. 4 wins in a row, is that in a Community Shield? It is, but it's not an important trophy. It was an important moment, though, for Ivo Torres, who becomes a world-class midfielder who banishes the demons of that League Cup final last year. So well done, lads. A really big win, and we get one over on Arne slot. Let's go and have a look at the schedule, though, for when we're going to be back. As I mentioned, there's quite a few players wanted here, and they are on the fringes of the squad. We're also starting to get big transfer interest in Kieran Peacock. If United or Spurs come in with a big offer, I might have to change my viewpoint on that. Peter Bernberg hopefully will be resolved. And then De Angelis, another, are starting to get interest from Saudi. And at 29, we get a big one. He is probably one of the worst players in the squad. I would be happy to let him go, which is why I'm hanging on to Roy Curley at the minute, who's not much worse. Let's go through to the schedule, though, because it's a little bit of a weird setup this month. I'd actually argue we've got one of the easiest starts on paper we've had for a long time. Villa at home will be tricky. Everton should be, but they had a terrible season last year. Now, I know we've got Newcastle away, but all of those huge matches, your likes of Manchester City, your Arsenal, your Spurs, your Manchester United, your Liverpool, they're all later in that first half of the season. So I think we might have to just wait and see if we get another disastrous Carabao Cup draw, which is normally the case for us, let's be honest. If not, we might even skip past transfer deadline day and go straight through to the first Champions League game, because let's be honest, the Carabao Cup and the Champions League are now the 2 most important competitions here. They're the only 2 we haven't won. On the flip side of that, if we start to get transfer sagas with Peter Bernberg, with Peacock, with whoever else, then I might need to come back and show you what happens there. But for now, a really positive start to the season. I plan to come back in September unless we get a difficult draw in the Carabao Cup. The squad news is going to be the big one when we return, though. Who would you sell from this squad list? Let us know in the comments. Which keeper would you let go? Would you just throw Bernberg out the club if you get a good offer? And would you sell Kieran Peacock? Because I just don't know that he's going to make it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this one, a big start to the season, a steal of a transfer, albeit he's got injured on his first game, and please do put a thumbs up on it. Let me know down in the comments if you think we win either of the competitions we missed out on before. Will we be able to win a final this year? We've won the Community Shield as always, but can we win the ones that matter? If you want to stay up to date and find out this season, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back on Saturday with our second episode from Southend in season 16, where hopefully there will be a few departures from the club. And if Bernberg goes, you might even see a new star arrival in midfield. Between now and then, though, we're having a difficult start at our new club in the coach's head. You can find the latest season of that save up in the eye above. There's also a link there to the Twitch channel where we've got loads of live streams, and the football podcast where we've had an incredible start to the new season. Thank you so much to everyone who's got involved there. But for now, thank you very much for watching, for being here as always to support the channel. and to support Southend United into a 16th season where hopefully the Community Shield is not our only Wembley win. I'll see you next time as we move into the season and maybe say goodbye to a couple of stars.